I liked your face.
Was I?
The beginning of your face. Okay. Ready, break.
All right.
Hey everybody, this is KB Lifestyle. We are going for a drive today to Mineola, which is in East Texas. Why don't you come join us?
Here we go. Hey everybody. So here we are in Mineola in East Texas, and we are doing a YouTube video just kind of going through the history and the culture of the town. That it's very rich with the history. We've done a lot of research online on Google, but there's been a lot of conflicting information out there, and we want to make sure that we get accuracy. So Owen, he is the director of
marketing and tourism.
Yeah, director of marketing and tourism, and he's been good enough to volunteer his time to help us out with the history of Mineola. So we're gonna ask some questions, and he's gonna help clear some things up for us.
All right, so in my Google research, that's all I've done really. It talks about how there was a gathering of people back in the 1840s because there's an artesian well here, and it was traders. It was that part of the gathering. But from discussion with you, maybe not really the reason.
Not so much though. The well wasn't necessarily the thing. It might have been something that people came through and was a place, but it wasn't an established area. There's no businesses here. Actually, the first established building or organization in town was St. Paul Church, right over there. So it actually that was our first gathering of people that were in a small little community, not incorporated or anything like that. So the railroad is actually what brought, the stuff. Right? So that came a little bit later, in 1870.
So I will say that we're sitting in the gazebo, which is fairly newly built, at the end of Johnson and I'm not sure what it's across.
This is Commerce Street.
Commerce Street, okay. And the train tracks are just right here on the other side of us. So I believe this, and then there's a park, and there's all kinds of, behind us you can see part of the brick streets and the downtown area, and we've got the celebrating Mineola 150 years over our shoulders here. So one of the other things that I read, basically the railroad, there was 2 railroads that were coming in, and one beat out the other in like 15 minutes.
Barely, yeah, just about July 1st.
So there wasn't really
There
like
wasn't
a
a race?
competition.
It was too well. It wasn't a yeah, it was kind of a competition. Who's going to be there first? So like they came on July 1st when the railroads met right here.
Oh wow.
So one of them, there was one coming up from Palestine.
Houston and IGN, I believe.
Okay, yeah. And then the other was coming over from Longview, is that right? Or from, okay.
From that. Right.
So they were kind of like that.
They met right there, just right over there.
Okay. And the start of the town was the railroad?
The incorporation of that's when you get the names and all that stuff. We had the guy that did it was Colonel John H. Burnett,
Good.
and he named it after a friend of his daughter, Minnie.
Okay.
Minnie
So
Patton.
that is a true story because we read there was
Yes.
like 3 different stories of how it got its name.
Right, they're friends. He had friends of his back in from Georgia, and then Dr. Patton actually had an office here in Quitman for a while, just up the road. So, but there's no Ola, no friend named Ola.
Okay.
We can't find Ola anywhere.
Okay.
No one knows anyone named Ola.
Okay.
So we don't know
Just
where that
Minnie.
part came from. Just
Okay.
Minnie.
All right. All right. So another big part of the history, I read that it was a Saturday town. So railroad workers, their families would come to town on Saturdays. You also have a pretty famous theater here, Select Theater.
Right.
Began in 1920, if I am correct.
I believe so. Yes.
And can you just kind of life and time during that?
In that period of time, we had opera houses, theaters, little industry down in this area. A lot of it. After the railroads hit, that's where people came to get work here.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just so much. It was Saturday town in the sense that other people came here on Saturdays to market or to get things from the general store or a chair from whatever they needed in the chair factory.
Right.
They did that on the weekends, but it could because it was this kind of a central location for a lot of these smaller communities around the area that don't have necessarily the railroad going. So the railroad not only had people work on it, but also brought the stuff to town to get, right?
So this is kind of the major city
I would say
at the time. Well, it wasn't a major city, but it was where everybody could source.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get lots. You could send your goods out. A lot of farmers could, they could load stuff on the train to their crops were done that way. So you had a lot of commerce with the railroad, but it also brought things to us.
Yeah, right.
All right. You mentioned the chair factory, so that was a main business. What building is that in existence still?
No, not at all
Okay.
anymore.
All right. I was wondering if it was the one on the corner here that has the chair on it,
No,
the antique shop.
no, that's not that
No, okay.
one.
All right. All right. What other businesses were pretty happening then?
And we had a lumber yard over here. Of course, the hotels are
The
here.
Beckham Hotel
Beckham
right
Hotel.
there.
And back to the theater. We have the Select Theater. It's the oldest continuously running theater in the state of Texas. So it's one of those things that's been renovated several times and has a lot of work done in it. If you haven't been in there,
We went
did.
in there today.
Okay.
And he let us take a
Yeah,
little
it was
video.
great.
it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the theater was part of it. Decent arts and entertainment. Wasn't all railroad, wasn't all industry, wasn't all blue collar. But we had law offices here. We have doctors and everything else here. So it was fairly balanced, but with a big emphasis obviously on the railroad.
Sure. How about now?
How now? Wow. Now, I'd say we have
Population is close to 5,000?
about 40. Well, I'd say I bet it's 5,000 now.
Yeah.
But it's 40. I think the last census said 4892 or something like that. But I think we're 5,000 now. We have a bustling restaurant scene, budding nightlife. There's a brewery going in right over here fairly soon. Of course, we still have a decent railroad.
Right, the Amtrak still
Well,
comes
Amtrak comes through here. Yeah, they do.
twice a day still?
Twice a day, 9:25 in the morning and 5:15 in the afternoon. And probably not going to be on time, but that's just the way it works. But no, we still have a decent workforce that still works for the railroad, Union Pacific. Here, over here we have a Benham Bean factory. I don't know if you know anything about Benham Bean, Trinidad Benham. It's a large organization that they do packaging of beans, rice, things
Oh,
like that.
okay.
That's employed a lot of people in the town over the years. Walmart kills it. The
Right.
school, yeah, the
Schools.
school is usually in towns like Mineola. The schools are a big part of the workforce.
Is it a big sports town?
We got state championships in
Okay. Football?
We almost had one this year. We had a pretty good run with basketball for the boys.
I think we're going to have a train cross.
Oh, here we are. Yeah, we are.
All right, so we had a little train pause. But as I was saying, so, and looking down this street, and I don't know what that side street is,
Up here?
where
That's
that
Broad Street.
Broad Street. So all of those businesses and old buildings have businesses in them. And you just don't see that all the time in these smaller towns. So
Yeah, it seems like small towns most of them are kind of declining consistently over the past couple decades. Mineola seems to be really going the opposite direction. So.
Yeah, well, we've always had help getting there. I mean, Mineola was kind of not the biggest town around here for a while, and then remember 1929 we had the stock market crash, right?
Right.
But when that actually happened that same year, Longview had transferred a bunch of railroad workers to Mineola. It basically saved Mineola, the railroad, and Longview. I can't remember which railroad it was at that time. But
Right.
in 1929, that's what really gave us back us.
Okay.
Again. But you're talking about the downtown and where we're sitting right now, and all of the wonderful things we have going on. While Mineola's kind of declining a little bit. It's not by accident. We planned this. We started this program called the Main Street Program, 1987, and we had a great group of volunteers and 30-somethings in town back then that did a lot of work to get that done. That was the first initial process of just saying, big crowd of downtown grants and stuff like that. There's a lot of other towns in Texas that are Main Street towns. We're actually a national accredited Main Street, and in Texas Main Street as well. But we do that certification each year. We make sure that we're pouring money into downtown. We're giving incentives to those businesses to be here. We're having events that bring people to downtown. So it's not just that we're a cool place. No, we made it that way.
Yeah.
You know, and because of the Main Street program being the first program that we have like that, we have several other ones. I have a landmark commission who does a lot of historical stuff. They oversee actually the little mini train thing over here. That's the landmark commission that does that. They keep these downtown buildings looking like an old downtown, right? You come in here and bulldoze one of my historic buildings here.
Right.
So the landmark commission does that. So there's a lot of people invest in different organizations to do that. I have a great new organization in town called Flint and Steel, who's into beautification of downtowns with murals and things like that. You see the one right over there.
Yeah.
The Flint and
Yeah.
Steel Coalition
Okay.
did that one, and they have plans to do many more all around Wood County, not just Mineola. So there's a lot of cool stuff like that happening, but again, not by accident. Also, we have a very, very big extended plan over 25 years. I mean, we're here today because our city leaders planned this.
Is that
25
part of
years
the
ago.
Meredith Foundation?
Meredith Foundation is a separate thing.
Okay.
Meredith Foundation they do wonderful things too. They put things in, give money to the schools for football stadiums and different equipment that the football team might need, or equipment that the computer programs need, or whatever the school needs. School buses, they take care of some of that stuff. They buy fire trucks for us, police equipment, all kinds of wonderful things the Meredith Foundation has done over here. And we would not be what we are without them either.
Yeah.
And that was Harry Meredith that did that.
Right.
So he established the library and of course the theater. I mean, after the
And
renovations.
he was part of the bank, owner, president of the bank.
He was on the break board, yeah, he was, and he didn't have family, so he left his fortune
Right.
to Mineola.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an obvious deliberate effort around here to,
Yes.
and I think that's why we like coming here,
That's-
is because you
Drew
can
us
just-
here.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we saw
yeah.
this and I was like, this is a cool place.
The growth is coming, now it's coming out of cities into these smaller towns, and we saw it started happening, like I said, 20, 25 years ago. Really, honestly, if you ask some people, the places and the people were in place 35 years ago. They could see it start to be this way. We need to plan these areas need to be zoned this way or whatever. We end up in places that oh my gosh, we got all this traffic. We didn't have our streets widened up for that kind of stuff. So it doesn't happen by accident to be able to have the infrastructure we have. One of the cool things that I love about downtown that we kept is diagonal parking spaces. You notice that?
Yeah.
So when you're in a downtown area, you're going by and you see something, wham, you can whip in there, right?
Right.
Right.
Real easy
Right.
to get in there. But if it's parallel, there's not a lot of parking, right?
Right.
You have to do, who has a parallel parking?
Right.
So, and you can fit more. And so, fit more on the side. You see those cars lined up like that. That's that old 40s downtown look that we kept with those
Yeah.
diagonal parking spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So back to 150 years, established in 1873, so you have big events planned in May, but pretty much all year long, right?
Yeah, we've been doing stuff all year long.
Yeah.
We have, May is our big, real kind of jump onto everything, but we'll be definitely rolling throughout the year. We have, I don't, we'll just go ahead and talk about it on May 20th. But that whole week is going to be great. The Chamber of Commerce is going to do a long table dinner right up North Johnson up there. It's a big long table goes down Hill Street. We have different chefs come out and do that
Oh,
kind of
very
stuff. That's
cool.
going to be neat. That's on like Tuesday night that week. I'll have my music in May that I do in May every year up here.
I
because
heard that you're quite the musician.
I'm quite the music. play that.
I was told by somebody that we've talked to today.
Okay. We'll see. You've been at the Beckham, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, I do my music series up here. I bring in musicians from around the area, regional musicians around the area, but really, really good. And that's every Thursday in May. And so that we'll have it that week as well. And then on May 20th, we're going to start out the Mineola Nature Preserve out there.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been there yet?
I have not.
We
Is
need
there
to
a
go
good
there.
hiking
Yeah,
paths?
hiking, biking, disc golf, fishing, all of it. wonderful. Really, really cool.
Nice.
Playground for the kids. There's a pavilion. People have weddings out there. Stargazing in the summer.
Yeah, I read about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely
But it's going to start there. Have a 5K, 10K timed run, chipped run that morning.
You running?
I am.
All right.
And then I'll be running that, and a 1K for the kids. They like to do.
Yeah,
The t-shirts, medals, that whole thing. And then at 11 o'clock here downtown, we're gonna have a big parade. It's gonna have everybody that wanted to be in the parade, which right now the list is getting pretty long, to celebrate with us. And then they're gonna come around. The parade's gonna come around and come down Line Street here, and then all over Commerce and all up Johnson, we're gonna have our big festival. I'm not going to have any like outside vendors or anything. It's only going to be community organizations like the fire department, PD, the football team boosters, school, stuff like that. We're exhuming a time capsule earlier that week, so we'll have the time capsule that we put in 1998,
Oh, cool.
25 years ago. We'll be displaying some stuff, and then people can drop off business cards, pictures of grandma, or whatever, to go in the new one. And then we have a beard contest. An old beard contest. But when we got the idea was in 1973, which was our centennial year. They had a big thing similar to this.
Okay.
And then they had a beard contest, and then they had a ladies' costume contest. I think they had a rocking chair contest and stuff like that. So we wanted to revive those things.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
so we got a beard contest going on that day, and a ladies' costume,
You're
kids'
gonna have to
costume.
keep working on yours.
I tried. I did a month, and I just couldn't do it. But no, it's going to be really cool. That, and then the losers have to shave.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a barbershop quartet up here. They're going to sing. I don't know, the night ladies or whatever.
Right.
So they have to shave. And then at that night, after it's over, down here, it's going to end up 5 down here. And then that night, they're going to have a balloon glow, hot air balloon glow thing out of the city. So that's going to come put the cap on the whole deal. So we're excited about that. It started out as a beard contest.
Okay.
And then it just
Grew from there.
snowballed on it. But no, we're very excited about that. It's called Spring Fling, and it might not be an every year thing.
Yeah. Sounds fun. Any other stories that we're missing?
Well, we talked about the Meredith Foundation. It's important to really know how long they've been around and how much they've put into Mineola. I mean, it's millions over the years. And they started in 1958 with the library up here. The first thing they did, and then I think the library celebrated 73 years or something like that this year of I guess you can count that up.
I don't want to
73 years. 63 years. 63 years of the library being the first Meredith Foundation donation thing that they did. They just celebrated that this year. But it's really neat. They've done all kinds of stuff, and I can't say enough about the Meredith Foundation being there to help different places who needed it or whatever. From really fun stuff like decorations or something that might go out at the nature preserve or banners or something like that, to very important stuff like the safety of our police officers or the fire truck and things like that. So
Right.
it is all Mineola Meredith Foundation. We love it.
Yeah, that's amazing
It
thing.
is. It's impressive.
Yeah.
You just don't see it. You don't see it anywhere.
So if you want to learn more about more history, there's 2 museums in town.
I have 2 museums in town. One of them's right here at the depot, which is our old restored depot. So I can get one of the originals there. And then I have one that's just about a block away down here. It's our old post office.
And it's still lit.
It still is, because it's a historical building. The Texas Historical Landmark Commission, whatever it is, they don't allow you to change a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it still says post office on the top. We put it's the museum there. But that's a really neat place if you haven't been in our museum there. A lot of history from Mineola. The curator there does an excellent job. There's Iron Horse Square over here for the kids.
For the kids, yeah.
We have the mini train that runs there. Of course,
Does it only run on weekends, or does it?
Well, it runs on kind of 2nd and 4th Saturdays of the month, but different special runs kind of come in there. So like this weekend we'll have, is it Easter weekend?
It's
this
Easter weekend, yeah.
So we'll have it this weekend for Easter weekend. But we'll also do it like May 6th, which I think is the first weekend in May. for because we have a big festival for Cinco de Mayo down here, so we're going to run the train that day as well. But usually second and fourth Saturdays, and I have schedules for that all over town, and of course online as well.
Right. What is if they go to Mineola? What's your .com?
In Mineola.com.
Okay.
It's easy to find us there. We'll have a.
And you just look at the calendar and see
Yeah.
all of the events.
You can go right there to the
the
calendar.
calendar is full.
It is, and it's getting. I'm adding to it every day.
Yeah.
And I don't just put city events. I mean, of course, Chamber of Commerce events. Other organizations have events that are invited in the community. I just spoke with a coffee shop earlier that's doing a community organization day where they're going to have stuff over there at their coffee shop there, street block off there to do everything. So it's kind of a neat thing. I have to make sure to put all that stuff on there. So if you're coming to Mineola on the weekend or a weekday, even honestly, you can click on that calendar, find out what we're doing. Of course, the Facebook is there, and very, very, very soon, very soon, we'll have the Mineola app, which
Nice.
developing right now. I think I'm about a third of the way on the content that I want on it, but most of the content that you pull up Mineola, you get all the numbers that you need. You can pay your water bill from there. So it's not just for tourism.
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
it's
For the people.
yeah, absolutely. But again, it'll have calendar events on the app, and then, of course, any business that you want to find downtown and all that kind of stuff. So all that's kind of being right there. So you're not googling numbers or maps or anything like that.
So again, that's that deliberate effort.
Well, not only that, you've got some growing that's going on. You've got housing developments that are going on.
I'm a big one in the south of town there. We have a lot of people there. Bigger cities. I think that COVID thing that happened with us having to stay at home a little bit allowed people to realize they can still do work from home. They don't have to be in the city.
Yeah.
And so, well, they don't want to be, so they can be.
Yeah.
Both of us
So-
work from home.
So if you can work from home, then let's let my home be somewhere that I really like. Hey, I really like that.
Exactly what we did.
Exactly what we did. We chose. Well, we live down in Chandler, but on Lake Palestine, and our daughter's going to school in Tyler. But we chose this area. I mean, out of everything in Texas, this was our number one spot, was to be in this area. We just love East Texas. It's great.
Love those pine trees.
Yeah, the tall ones, right?
Yeah. Except for when they're covered in ice.
Well, it's neat. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really neat if you go much east, much west of here. You start seeing the pine trees kind of getting shorter and the trees get shorter. And honestly, that's was the gateway to the mountains back in the day. Yeah, and we don't have because of the pine trees. We have wonderful East Texas air. They always say, if you don't like the weather in Texas, you can just wait 5 minutes. Well, here in Mineola, we got it down to 3.5.
Okay.
Worked really hard on that.
Well, I don't really have a whole lot unless you have
No,
something to
I
add.
really don't. I'm always an open book. If you can't find what you want on Mineola.com or one of our Facebook pages, then call us at City Hall. We'll get you to the right spot.
Yeah. Okay, Owen. Thank you for your time and for clearing up a lot of the inconsistencies that we ran into, and we're definitely going to come back in May and visit you guys. So.
Cool. Yeah, come all year long, man. We've got stuff all year long.
We're coming to watch a movie
Watch a movie.
Yep.
and see any live shows that we can. Several plays going on. Let's see. So it's all on the calendar. So that's awesome.
Thank you, Owen.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we just got back from Mineola. Had a great day up there. Had a great conversation with Owen. Learned a lot about the town. We're gonna go back for their upcoming events, some of them at least.
Maybe catch a movie at the
probably
Select
catch a
Theater.
movie. Yeah, for sure. They have stand-up comedy there and things like that. We're gonna try to catch some of those shows when we can. But
Had some tasty food.
yeah,
Fried pies.
6 of them.
Dinner's taken care of.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, and when we go back up, we're gonna do some more videos of it, so stay tuned for that. We're pretty excited about that.
Yep. See you later.
Bye.